Dude, I don't know how many people, and I'm assuming on this show, because we just don't talk a lot of MLS, I don't know how many people saw what happened with Apple TV and Lionel Messi's introduction in Miami.
Yeah.
It is inarguably, there's that word again, by the way, inarguably, Lionel Messi coming to MLS is the biggest thing that's ever happened to soccer in the CONCACAF region, certainly in the United States, absolutely in MLS. This is bigger than Beckham. It's not close.
Way bigger than Gareth Bale.
Yeah, Lionel Messi brings an army of eyeballs. So they have him out for Inter Miami. They introduce him, and the picture looks amazing. It's beautiful. David Beckham's there. He's beautiful. Lionel Messi's there. He's really small. It's everything you expected. Oh, that's right. And then the audio went out, and it sounded terrible, and you couldn't hear anything on Apple TV. And again, I just say, how? How did this happen?
Because it's garbage.
Your biggest moment in the history of soccer, certainly in North America, certainly in the history of MLS, and you have audio issues. And I go back to, that's the first thing I thought of was, in the Pac-12 is supposed to trust you?
Because it's garbage.
Nobody's watching MLS. You finally get a bunch of people to watch MLS. Look at my Twitter. How many people said, I'm there because Messi's there? Right? Like a ton of people. You finally get people to watch MLS on Apple TV. You finally have that moment where you can make money on MLS on Apple TV. And you took a dump on your audio mixer. And it ruined the entire thing. It ruined the entire thing. And so I say to you, should the Pac-12 trust Apple TV? Because there's a lot of people who believe the Pac-12 is going to wind up in some form or fashion in bed with Apple TV. And I will maintain what I have said since the fall. This should be an Amazon Prime Sports deal. Because Apple TV, I don't believe is ready for prime time. I don't believe that Apple TV can be counted on 365 days a year to get the broadcast right. Like the Pac-12 needs. They need daily content, daily news shows, daily programming, football, basketball, badminton, lacrosse, hockey, whatever. You need it all. And I'm supposed to believe that Apple TV, who absolutely ruined the biggest event in the history of MLS, is competent and capable of handling this.
Obviously not.
And I again just say, and this is why you're the Pac-12. This is why you're the Pac-12. You still don't have a TV deal after a year. You have no positive momentum. You quite literally are backsliding on a minute-to-minute basis. And now one of your supposed TV partners at Apple TV absolutely fell apart in the biggest moment in North American soccer history. Oh, by the way, this doesn't even begin to scratch the surface on the implications of the ACC's deal with CW. The CW stepped in for Bally's TV and Raycom and will now broadcast 13 ACC football games this year. Let me get this right. The conference that has a 57,000-year-long grant of rights just got a new TV deal, and you still don't have one in the Pac-12. This is head-scratching. And I understand it's not redoing a grant of rights, and it's a different situation. Negotiations are different. Had to have somebody pick up those games. The ACC just beat you to see the CW.
Pac-10.
Which is unbelievable to me. And so, Jake, I ask you, if you're the Pac-12, should you trust Apple TV?
Yeah, well, the problem is I don't think you have a choice. No, you shouldn't, but I don't think you have a choice. I don't think you're in any kind of position to sit here and say, well, yeah, because you guys went ahead and messed up you went ahead and messed up the only thing that you're really responsible for when it comes to live sports. Yeah, we're not going to trust you because, we've got exactly nobody behind you. That's the problem. They have to trust Apple TV, right? It's not up to them because Apple TV is really the only secondary option. By the way, the CW was really the main option here. And so now they go and pick up the ACC opportunity, and it leaves the Pac-12 sitting here once again on their hands with nowhere to go. So That's why I say, should they trust Apple? No, hell no. Absolutely not. It's embarrassing what Apple did over the weekend. Do you have a choice? Also, hell no. You don't have a choice. You have to go this route. So again, I sit here and I ask the people saying, oh, hey, the Pac-12 is getting 35 a year. They're getting 34 a year. They're getting more than the Big 12. Everything's going to be fine. Where is the money going to come from? Because ESPN's not coming off of their offering.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting point. Where's the money going to come from?
Where are you going to get it from? Because I agree. I'd be all in on Amazon if I was the Pac, but Amazon's not all in on the Pac. That's the problem.
And the issue becomes, again, the great radio wizard of the Northwest over the weekend, writing about how, oh, my God, the Pac-12 they're just struggling because ESPN's going through this business reshuffling. And as soon as that's over, there's going to be a $8 billion quadrillion deal announced. And this will be the greatest TV deal since sliced cable cords.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
It's going to be awesome, bro. And it's like, okay, so if we're supposed to believe the great radio wizard
sources,
now all of a sudden somebody, and again, I love somebody on the executive board, the board of directors. So you mean one of the three presidents, Kurt Schultz, is telling you, oh, we're going to get a deal at ESPN,
But optics.
Because we all remember Kurt Schultz, right? We all remember good old Kurt Schultz. If the optics weren't bad, and if we, God, man, Pat McAfee, I don't know what that means.
Why is it dragged on so long?
I think it's just the environment. It's the uncertainty in the economy, the layoffs in the tech sector and other places. I mean, look at the major media companies have almost all laid off people, and so have some of the major players in the tech sector. And, I know at least one of the partners we were talking to said, we're ready to sign today. But the optics of us announcing that we're laying off X number of people and we signed, this multi-million-dollar deal with the Pac-12 are just simply not the best. So we're going to have to wait.
Oh, the optics aren't the best.
Oh, okay.
So let me get this right. Radio Wizard in the Northwest writes that, hey, I was told by somebody on the board of directors, which is Kurt Schultz or, Stanford, Arizona, or Kurt Schultz at Washington State, that the timing's just not right for ESPN. But as soon as it is, and there's no rush. Hey, whoa.
Dude, the conference is burning down, but there's no rush, dude. Come on.
Dude, that's a campfire. The house isn't on fire. I set a campfire in the back. Go make some marshmallows.
What are you, nuts?
Relax. Everything's fine.
Nothing to see here.
What? Yeah, so Colorado's ready to pull the ripcord. Oh, dude.
You're so fucked.
That's not, they're going skydiving. They were checking their ripcord for the parachute.
My fucking ass.
Everybody's got an excuse.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that ESPN's not spending money right now is ridiculous. They just did the SEC deal. They just did the Pat McAfee, but layoffs. They just did the Pat McAfee deal for $150 million. But layoffs. We get it. The optics are bad. Bob Iger talking about selling ESPN. No, that's not what he said.
Hey, didn't they just spend more money on Bob Iger? Anybody
2 more
see
years.
that? Right?
Two
just
more years.
Extended Bob Iger, and everyone wants to say, oh, ESPN's dying, and the Pac-12 is going to get it once ESPN figures it out. Nothing's changed. The direction of ESPN in their current strategy is not going to change, because if it was, you wouldn't have extended Bob Iger.
It's remarkable to me. We can spin this all day long. ESPN and Bob Iger never, ever did Bob Iger say he's selling ESPN.
Yeah.
He said he's looking to sell a minority share. into ESPN, right? Like he's not, and understand what that means.
Yeah.
Disney will not lose control. Now, are they going to sell their ABC stations? Certainly they could do that. Are they going to sell ABC? Sure, great. Find me the place where he said, yep, ESPN's for sale. We want to sell it lock, stock, and barrel. Because if he'd have said that, it'd have been gone already. Right? So all of these people are like, oh, man, once the sale of ESPN goes through, the Pac-12 is going to be floating in cash.
Yeah, take it. See ya.
By the way, and I know you're the radio wizard in the Northwest, but do you really think these deals go through in like 15 minutes? Do you know how long it would take to get approval for Disney to spin off? And everybody in the Pac-12 is saying, oh, wow, it's Apple TV. Apple's buying ESPN, bro.
All kinds of money.
Now, the market, look at the market cap at Apple. It's, what is it, trillions of dollars. You really think that's going through in like a couple of weeks? If that deal was agreed to today, do you really think regulators would have that deal done before the 1st of January? They would not. They would not. I'm telling you, if you're waiting for ESPN to be sold, which is absolutely not happening, you're never getting a TV deal. If you believe that the layoffs and the business restructuring is why the Pac-12 doesn't have a TV deal, you're completely wrong. That's just the people we talk to at ESPN have told us from the jump, $90 million. That's what we are willing to invest in the Pac-12. It's a 3 to 5 year deal, max, and they'd like it to be 3. They're not spending hundreds of millions of dollars a year. It's not happening. So this idea that all of a sudden, oh my God, the Pac-12, oh man, $50 trillion a year deal.
Come on.
If that, and again, I just ask you, and let's say ESPN's in and you pick the number, let's say $35 million per school per year. Because it's got to surpass the Big 12's deal. Hey, bro, Pac-12's getting more than the Big 12. All right, cool. Let's call it $50 million a year because that's originally what the cock was selling, right? Kliavkoff was selling $50 million a year. All the radio stations, the flagship sports talk stations of all these Pac-12 teams, from Seattle and the Radio Wizard in Portland and Salt Lake City and Boulder, all of them are pushing $50 million a year. Let's say, hey, we're going to give you $50 million a year. Do you think waiting another 6 months is going to make cutting a check to the Pac-12 for $500 million for the next 5 years? $2.5 billion or whatever that would be, I believe. Do you really think that that's going to be, better optics because of layoffs or reshuffling? If you did that September 1st, that's better optics. That's better business reshuffling. No, it's not, because that deal's not coming.
Yeah.
There's no $350 million deal from a single entity coming. That's not happening, dudes. And I keep trying to tell people, everybody's like, oh, Ion TV. Dude, if it happens at Ion TV, I would be stunned. I will cut tomatoes in half if that happens. I don't know. It's all I could come up with. If it happens, I'll never eat Bob's jalapeno mac and cheese again.
It's internal.
If the Pac-12 gets a $350 million deal from a single source, I'll be stunned.
Yeah.
I'll be stunned.
Yeah, I just don't think it makes sense. And again, you look at the marketplace, and there's not a single one out there that's, that is A, interested, or B, willing. I mean, again, I think it's so important to point out the verbiage around this, because I think this is something that's been widely reported. And this is kind of what I always say when people send me tweets from, guys on Twitter or whatever who are reporting things like every day. Notice the verbiage, right? It's not like it's new verbiage. It's not new to say, oh, well, it's going to be mostly linear and a little bit of streaming. Wow, bro, reinventing the wheel, bro. Rocket science, right? Like, no, that's what we've been reporting for forever on this. So the point is that ESPN is only willing to invest a certain amount, right? Because the product, if you take your emotion out of it and take away the football and the fact that this is sports we're talking about. If this was a phone, nobody would care about this.
Nobody
right?
would
If
care.
this was like a stagnant product, nobody would care about this. But that's how the ESPNs of the world have to look at what they spend their money on. The SEC, why did they invest in the SEC? Because they will get return on that investment. And I would guess that's probably 3 or 4 times every dollar they spend, or they wouldn't have done it.
Yeah, I just I am always flummoxed by it. I am always amazed by it. Let's get your comments in here. Connor Cole gives us $5 to say, as a Cincy fan, y'all been talking to Coach. Do you feel any better about Cincy since y'all hate on them so much?
On Cincinnati.
But again, is it hating on them or are we truth-telling? And Scott Satterfield was a lovely interview. It's on the channel. Please go watch it if you haven't seen it. I think he is a very good head coach. I asked him specifically about Appy State because of his success there, what he was able to do there. But the bottom line is he does not have talent on the roster. And if you watch that interview with Scott, he essentially said that. Like the struggle is they're not deep and they are right now not talented.
Yeah.
They have dudes that play football at Cincinnati, but right now you're at the bottom of the hill and you got to make that climb. And dude, that's like a 3 to 5 year climb.
Yeah.
And what did Scott Satterfield tell me? This is going to take patience. Time and patience is what's required to build this roster into the Big 12.
Facts.
It's not that I'm a hater of Cincinnati, and because I'm truly not. And I listen, Bearcat fans, I hope you hear me on this. I'm not being a hater of Cincinnati. My biggest issue on the field is it's a climb. You're not talented. I've said that for how long? And then Scott Satterfield sat on our set at AT&T Stadium and said the exact same thing. Because that's the reality of it. Will they get there? Yeah, I'm a big believer in Scott. I am. But it takes time. And as far as the market goes, I don't believe that Cincinnati as a market is do or die for the Big 12. I think it is a good extension. I think it is a nice bridge to the East Coast. Mm-hmm. I think you got to get UConn. I think you need to go in West Virginia, who dodged all questions because, well, they didn't really do interviews at Big 12 Media Day. Mm-hmm. But West Virginia is kind of out on an island. So if you can add the UConns, all of a sudden Cincinnati to Connecticut to West Virginia doesn't seem like that big of a hike, right? And you've got UCF in Florida. Like you're starting to build some reach.
Yeah.
Clearly a priority for Brett. Brett Yormark talked about Rucker Park a lot. The conference talked about the East Coast a lot, right? So I just think it's a good piece of geography. I don't believe that Cincinnati brings you massive reach. I don't think it brings you massive eyeballs. I don't. I am so high on Houston because Houston's a quality program. Dana Holgerson has talent on that roster right now. Right now, dude. Houston can compete in this league. And it's Houston. It's a massive metropolitan area with a ton of reach and a ton of eyeballs.
Yeah.
Texas, not to be redundant, but Texas is Big 12 country. Texas is owned by the Big 12, in my opinion. Even with UT in the SEC. I will again say, all due respect to A&M fans, you're irrelevant. You're invisible. You're invisible.
Yeah.
Until he wins something, Texas A&M is invisible. And I'm not a believer in Jimbo, but you owe him so much money. Until they win something at A&M, they're irrelevant. Let's be honest about the landscape of the Big 12. It is their Texas brands. I think BYU is a huge ad for reach. I truly do. I think Utah needs to be another team in the Big 12, and I think you've got to find something on the other side of the Rockies.
Yep.
I absolutely think Colorado's a great ad. You need something on the other side of the Rockies, man. Gonzaga's one. Oregon State's another one. Arizona State. Those are like, you got to have something.
Y'all know the names.
Yeah, you got to have something. So I'm not down on Cincinnati. I'm not a hater on Cincinnati. What do we always say about this show? And I think we try to be really honest with you guys. And I think we've talked about this. This show is the truth in sports talk. When you want the truth about your team or a particular subject, come and ask us for it, because you're going to get it.
Yeah.
And it's this SEC football media days to Dallas thing. The truth is, when you want football in Texas, you go to Dallas. But the other truth is, the SEC, I don't believe, has the balls to unseat the Big 12 in Dallas or in the state of Texas. Even with the Longhorns.
Yeah.
If Texas wins this year, and I'm a buyer, I am absolutely a buyer. Talking to those dudes, listening to those dudes, I am a buyer. You see the interviews on our channel, go watch the Texas interviews. If you're not in, you're crazy.
Yeah.
If you're not in on Houston, you're crazy. If you're not in on UCF, you're crazy. Bottom line, until the University of Texas wins a national championship, Texas belongs to the Big 12.
Yep.
Period.
Yep.
And Texas, I mean Dallas. Because Dallas is the heart of Big 12 country. And I know that's going to piss people off, and I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to be controversial. I'm not
Hot
at all.
take guy.
I'm not at all. How about a new member on the show? Jerry Gibbons. Let's go.
Let's go, baby.
Jerry, good to see you. Appreciate you. Danny gives us a $2 super sticker. Thank you for that. Just a rowdy dude from South Carolina.
South Carolina.
Carolina gives us $5. If you are making money line for Oregon and Washington leaving for the Big 12 by 2025, they're never going to be in the Big 12. I think Oregon and Washington are Big 10 teams.
They're Big 10 or they're chilling in the pack.
I would put it at minus 100 because I think it's going to happen. I think the next, if we get to media day and they don't have a TV deal announced.
Yeah, you mean 4 days from now?
If we don't get a deal this week, you can't tell me that Colorado's just hanging out waiting. Because, again, I'm just going back to the USC Carol Folt situation.
Yeah.
And I have asked this and run this by a dozen people that I trust in this business, and nobody has argued with me. Am I the only one who thinks putting Bobby Robbins on the board of directors, which is the three most influential presidents in the Pac-12? You put Robert Robbins, the president in Arizona, who is vocally stated a half dozen times
At least.
how much affinity he has for the Big 12. Am I the only one who doesn't think Carol Folt at USC, when she was on that board and she basically said, nah, they met in special session to talk about expansion. Carol Folt, over a year ago now. Carol Folt said, nah, we're good, thanks. I don't think we should expand. Not right time for the conference. And what, like 24 seconds later, turned around, signed her deal with the Big Ten, and all of a sudden,
We're out of here.
shocked the world when USC and UCLA left.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you not learn a damn thing?
Cold-blooded, clean, methodical, and thorough.
You put Bobby Robbins on the board of directors, and I understand it rotates, and I understand that, hey, I get it. President Kase at Washington rotated out after her term. You put Bobby Robbins in there? I don't give a shit if it was his term. Put somebody else. Put anybody else, just not the Chancellor of Colorado.
You are what you are.
Right? Like, put Michael Crow back on there. I don't care who you put. Put my mom on there. Who cares?
Have a special session to unseat Bobby, bro.
I would say put me, but according to, Houston fans, I'm going to be dead in 15 minutes. And I'm a Mormon, so I'm,
Yeah.
But my point is, put Bobby Robbins on the board of directors, dude. And then his football coach, Jed Fish, is like, yeah, we're going to be somewhere, not sure where. Hey, doesn't that sound like San Diego State?
Pac-10.
Like, this is wild, wild, wild to me. And as far as Washington and Oregon, I think they're going to the Big Ten.
Big Ten or nothing, dude.
If they're changing conferences, unless the conference completely collapses, which I still don't think it will, They're going to the Big Ten. B for $5 says, quote unquote, sources tell me that the she hit the fan on the 25th. CU Pac-12. Well, there's a lot of people who believe.
I mean, just imagine the prospect, dude. You're rolling up to your media day. And by the way, it's day, not days, right? Like, let's be clear.
Yeah.
You're rolling up to your media day, by the way, in a hotel, which was pointed out to me numerous times after talking to folks in athletic departments last week at Big 12 Media Days. Hey, yeah, how? Literally, I got asked like 4 or 5 times trying to get people on the show. They're like, yeah, man, isn't this great? We're at Jerry World. Like, this is really cool to be having our, like, everyone was pumped on that. So then you get the Pac-12 going to a hotel in a ballroom to do their media day. And it's going to feel dead, and it's going to be dark.
In Las Vegas.
In Las Vegas. And my only question is, what's the over-under on the amount of time it takes for somebody to ask Georgie Poo about the media deal? Because you know that's going to happen. Does George Kliavkoff address the media deal situation in his opening statement?
He better.
I mean, he must.
Does he? Yeah.
He must. How do you not?
It's wild, dude. It is absolutely wild. By the way, Rowdy Dude from South Carolina said I meant the Big Ten. Oregon and Washington to the Big Ten, I would put it. I mean, it's a pretty good chance it's going to have 250's fine.
Yeah.
250's fine. I mean, I don't think, and this is just me, I don't think that you are going to have situations where there's a lot of people talking about how Oregon and Washington have to pay their way in. Why would Oregon and Washington have to pay their way in? Again, I believe this is Radio Wizard in the Northwest who said this, that Oregon and Washington would have to pay for entry fees, because he's also the one that said SMU is willing to pay $70 million to join the Pac-12 to pay off the Comcast debt, and that's why you would want. What are we doing?
Come on, guy.
I don't believe, by any circumstance, that you would have a situation where you would have Oregon and Washington paying their way in.
Yeah.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that's a situation at all.
Yeah.
I truly don't. It's just crazy to me. Like this SEC thing in Dallas, I think is a big story. I think it's a bigger story than most people made it out to be. Now, of course, nobody wanted to ask the question. Somebody's got to ask the SEC or players, coaches, like somebody's got to say, hey, man, you're going to Dallas to the Omni Hotel. It's not Jerry. Is that no, sir? I thought you said the Omni. Hey, I'm sorry, Commissioner. Did you say the Omni Hotel? You're going to the Omni Hotel, man. Like, that doesn't feel big. And to your point, that's what the Pac-12's doing in Las Vegas.
Yes, bro.
They're going where everybody goes.
By the way, turn on ESPN on your TV at some point in the next day or two. Notice how dark it is. And I know I keep pointing this out. Jerry World isn't dark, bro. Jerry World is well lit, feels big, like
has
feels
energy.
Like, right? Like I'm telling you, media day / days in a hotel is a mistake.
Well,
it's a problem.
Look how packed Big 12 Media Days was.
Yeah.
Like it was probably 40 radio stations. Every major TV network in sports was there. Sirius was there. And I know they're partners, but ESPN's there. All the biggest ESPN football personalities are there.
Yes.
Like Fox is there. NFL alumni are there.
Yeah.
They're announcing. Like, I mean, you're going to a ballroom in a hotel. Look, why not Allegiant Stadium if you're the Pac-12? Okay, you're tiny. You're not. You're tiny. You don't have that kind of media. Do you know how many media from like Oklahoma City, I think, had 4 radio stations there? 5 radio stations. All the Dallas stations were. WQAM in Miami was kind of, I mean, they were in the building. They didn't really do anything. But WQAM from Miami was there, man.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Like, that's the reach that Big 12 Media Days has. How many, will there be 40 radio stations broadcasting live? Like Sikkim 365 was there. We were there.
Mm-hmm.
How many radio stations will be at Pac-12 Media Day? I think that is a very, very it's something that I would really pay attention to.
Yeah.
Because I just think when you are supposedly a Power 5 conference, you can't have no radio stations broadcasting live. And this is a legit question, will a single radio station be broadcasting live from Pac-12 Media Days?
I got to think a few. I got to think Buddy up north will be there.
I hope so.
I mean, I would guess.
I would think so. I don't know. I just think that I think the Big 12 is the
ticket.
The Big 12 is the big swinging D in Dallas. And I want to see what you get in Las Vegas. Why Las Vegas? At least, and I think the problem is you can't do it in Los Angeles anymore.
It's too awkward.
You don't have a footprint there anymore.
Oh, but San Diego. Come on. La Jolla.
It's awkward. It'd be like ordering a calzone without the marinara meatballs.
At Papa Murphy's, we do more than just pizza. We do meatballs and marinara.
Papa Murphy's does meatballs?
Oh, I think you mean I do the meatballs and marinara?
And how do you do it, Dad?
How do I do it? How do I do it?
Well, we do it with savory ground beef
Covered in tangy marinara. That's how, honey.
At Papa Murphy's, we make great pizza.
And don't forget the meatballs.
Order now at papamurphys.com.
Papa Murphy's Pizza, the official pizza of the Monty Show. Make sure you download the Papa Murphy's mobile app. You guys at calzones. Jake's favorite item now at Papa Murphy's Pizza is the calzone.
Dude, and I took your advice. I mean, it's great advice. I mean, I wish you were the commissioner of the Pac-12. They'd probably be in a better spot at this point, right? Like, hey, get the calzone, then get the meatballs, do the calzone, do the meatballs, put the meatballs on top. You're good to go. Dude.
It's amazing. Use the promo code Monty25 to save 25% off your purchase of $25 or more at Papa Murphy's Pizza. Should I sing it like that, like every hour, or
Ain't no reset.
Or you guys don't think I should?
Probably not.
Probably not. I probably shouldn't do that. We should just probably tell you that this hour of the show is presented by our good friends at Tri-Day Trading, TryDayTrading.com/Monty. Hey, man, I know everybody's talking about the fact that the stock market's back. See, the beautiful part about being a day trader, you don't have to worry about the stock market being up or being down. It's always money-making time when you're a day trader, and there's no better place to learn from the elite pros at TryDayTrading.com. They want to teach you to be one of the best day traders on the planet. By the way, have we talked about tax write-offs? We better, because you get a 30-day trial membership for $10, which is a charitable donation, because Tri-Day Trading gives that money to charity, tax write-off, and you get their entire coaching program, their entire process training, their entire algorithm training, like everything you need to know. You get it for a $10 charitable donation. You get a 30-day trial membership. You get into their program, and listen, at the end of that 30 days, if day trading's not for you, get away. $10, tax write-off. You're out. There's no obligation. There's no bill waiting for you at the end of the 30 days. You just simply make a decision. Do you want to continue on and graduate the TryDayTrading.com program? Do it. You will, because I honestly don't know of a single person from this show that has said no after the trial membership, because you make really good money. Would it help you to make your car payment ×2 every month? Hey, do it part-time. Program your trades in the morning, go to work, and all day long the algorithm's making money for you because it's executing trades based on what you program. And they're going to teach you how to program that. You want to make $300, $400, $500 every single day doing it part-time while you're working your full-time job? TryDayTrading.com. Hey, how about doing it full-time and you make $1,000 a day, $5,000 a week, $20,000 a month, $240,000 a year minimum, making that bread. TryDayTrading.com/Monty. Get the $10 30-day trial membership. Please make sure you tell them you heard about it on the Monty Show. We're really trying to support our local businesses. That's what TryDayTrading.com is. TryDayTrading.com.